Spoiler warning. The following discussion will contain spoilers. We recommend checking out the movie first, then coming back to hang with us. But if you don't care about that, glad to have you here.
All right, everybody, welcome back to another episode of The Real Review. My name is Kevin.
And I'm John.
And we are The Real Movie Guys. On today's episode, we're going to be taking a look at The Mandalorian Season 2, Chapter 9, The Marshal. The Mandalorian is drawn to the Outer Rim in search of others of his kind. So, John, this is probably, in my opinion, and I know you're probably going to agree with me, the best new Star Wars thing that's come out of this whole Disney buying out Star Wars. Would you agree? Easily. The Mandalorian has been the shining sole reason for me to have a Disney Plus subscription, I think, in the first place. But not even that. The Mandalorian has everything I feel, for new fans, for old fans. It captures everything perfectly. While we didn't cover Season 1 on this channel, that's something we'll probably do in the future. It'll probably just be one video where we just, talk about the whole season. I thought it'd be cool to just, as this comes out, kind of try to follow it along, do an episode by episode discussion for each episode of Season 2 of The Mandalorian. We won't give any kind of scores or anything like that. We're going to wait till the whole series wraps up. Then I think it would be appropriate to label it with a letter grade. But right now, I really just want to talk about The Mandalorian. So, John, what did you think of this episode?
I thought it was a great next step to Season 1.
Season 1 was fantastic, I think, from beginning to end. It told a really great story. It left us with just the right amount of cliffhangers. Gave us everything we wanted. So Season 2 has a lot to live up to, just already, coming off such a strong season. This episode, Chapter 9, did not disappoint. Just from the get-go, the whole tone of this series I absolutely love. The fact that they take The Mandalorian and turn it into this Western kind of story of the nameless wanderer, just the Mandalorian blowing in from town to town. Now he's got a cute little Baby Yoda with him, the child. He's got him carrying around with him. I think just adds to that mystique level, and I absolutely love the character. The story starts off really good. I feel like we didn't miss a step, since sometimes when you have a transition from one season to the next, sometimes a show I feel like can just change overall, lose its tone. This show didn't at all. We have the Mandalorian just continuing his journey. He's trying to find others like himself, because at this point he has the child with him. He knows that only the other Mandalorians can help him find out what his next step is in his mission to bring this guy home. So he goes into a seedy bar. He meets with John Leguizamo playing an alien, which...
I'm told you know where to find them.
It's uncool to talk business immediately. Just enjoy the entertainment.
If he didn't already sound like an alien, now they just made his appearance match his voice. But again, the show encapsulates what the Wild West is in all the right places for me. Especially me, I'm a huge fan of the Western genre, just in general. So he meets the seedy mob boss. The guy promises him, we're going to gamble on this fight, and if I win, I'll give you the information that I want if this happens. And he's like, no, I ain't gambling. I don't do that.
I'm prepared to pay you for the information. I'm not leaving my fate up to chance.
And then suddenly the whole room, people leave, and then half the room just turns on him with guns. That's fantastic. I love that. I love that setting. And Amanda just takes them out, no problem.
Tell me where the Mandalorians are, and I'll walk out of here without killing you.
I thought you said you weren't the gambler.
I'm not.
Again, that lone hero Wild West tone is just so strong in this series. When we get done with that cool opener there, what do we do next? Well, this show decides to go back to Tatooine and find the only Mandalorian that maybe fans are aware of, and that's Boba Fett. Now, for us astute Star Wars veterans here, for what we know, Boba Fett died at the end of Return of the Jedi. He fell into the Sarlacc pit and got swallowed, and he died. Now, I know in the extended universe, before the whole Disney merger with Star Wars and everything like that, Boba Fett did survive in the books. There was a book version where they had Boba Fett survived, and a bunch of stuff happened. I'm not too familiar with it. I just know he lived and he had a life afterwards. That's erased at this point. So any of that pre-Disney Star Wars canon doesn't exist. So this show, I guess, is telling another story. Mandalorian finds out about this, other Mandalorian that's in this town. So he travels there, And we get one of like the most badass reveals I've ever seen. He's just sitting there. He's asking for information about this guy. He's like, "Is there a guy here that looks like me?" And the bartender's like, "What do you mean, that guy?" And he turns over and you just see this iconic shot. I fell in love with that shot of, even though it's not Boba Fett, which we find out, it's just an iconic looking shot of the man standing there with the sunlight hitting him just right in that Boba Fett armor. And man, did that it tickled all the right feelings for me. I was like, damn, that's Star Wars right there. Holy shit.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Then we get the cool reveal. So he tells him, he's talking to the guy, Boba Fett, quote unquote, Mandalorian's talking to Boba Fett. And he sits down, he takes his helmet off. As soon as he takes his helmet off, you're like, well, that's not Boba Fett. Boba Fett wouldn't take his helmet off. You find out it's Timothy Oliphant.
I've never met a real Mandalorian.
Of all people, friggin' Timothy Oliphant, who, if there ever was an actor who plays the stereotypical cowboy in everything he's in, I think it's Timothy Oliphant. Just from, Justified, he's most famous for. A lot of people know him from Justified, being the main character in that. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, he plays a cowboy. I mean, there's at least 3 or 4 different movies where this man's a cowboy. So you're telling me he's playing Boba Fett? That's absolutely perfect. In order to get the armor, Mandalorian has to help Timothy Oliphant slay the Krayt Dragon. It's this monster that's been terrorizing the town. Which brings in the whole story of, like, there's a threat to the town now. The Wanderer coming into town has to help solve the problem. Again, very Wild West, and I absolutely love it. And I think I really like this plot for this first episode. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, definitely. I thought it was another interesting way that they're telling another story in this.
Yeah, and I like the episodic nature. Story in a way, too. Right? I like the episodic nature where there's a loose-fitting narrative, but at the same time, you're kind of getting your own little unique story in the Star Wars universe. And the thing that Mandalorian does that none of these new sequels did, not even the only one that maybe came close, I felt like, was Rogue One was a little close, and just capturing the tone of Star Wars, capturing that feeling that you're in a world of Star Wars. Everything from the setting to the characters, the Tusken Raiders were portrayed fantastically in the show. I like how they use sign language, like they have their own dialect.
What are you telling them?
The same thing I'm telling you. If we fight amongst ourselves, the monster will kill us all.
Yeah,
they didn't just feel like it's hard to describe this, but they don't feel like just thrown in characters. They feel like they actually live and function in this world that we're in.
Hey! What are you doing? That's an explosive! What, are you trying to blow the whole place up? What? Is that what you want? Take it easy. It was an accident. Okay? What do you want to do? It was an accident.
Yeah, like they belong there.
Exactly. And while we didn't get too much child in this episode, he had a presence there, so.
Come here, you little womp rat! Looks like it remembers me. How much do you want for it? Just kidding, but not really.
All the people at home who love Baby Yoda, love or hate him, he wasn't into much of this episode. But like I said, the interactions are just fantastic. And then we get Timothy Oliphant's backstory about how he acquired the armor through a sandcrawler, through some Jawas.
My treasure bought me more than a full water skin. It bought my freedom.
You gotta watch this episode. It's really good, especially if you're an old school Star Wars fan. I think it has just enough. It kind of leans into some of the older Star Wars things to attract you in, but it's really telling this great Star Wars story at the end of the day.
And also, like, the battle scene, too, is awesome, too.
Oh, the action in this episode. Another one of my favorite shots is when Timothy Oliphant's telling his backstory about how the I think they were miners came and they took over the town. He goes back with the Boba Fett armor. He's just beating up everybody, shooting them, blasting them. And then the guys are trying to get away in like a speeder. He just walks outside. He leans over and he shoots the rocket. it's funny because it reminds me of Iron Man, the first Iron Man movie where he shoots the rocket and then walks away.
Oh,
It was like he totally had like an Iron Man 1 moment right there, that thing exploding. That was a fantastic shot.
Yeah,
And
I thought it was
go ahead.
cool too, like that part of the story too, like how they showed you that background of like why he obtained the armor and everything, and how he used it for good and not like evil.
Right, yeah, he used it for a good purpose. And the thing is, which I thought was interesting, is he doesn't, instead of being like, this is my armor, I'm going to do whatever it takes to protect it, he's really not about the armor, right? He's more about protecting the town.
As much as I've grown fond of the armor, I'm even more fond of this town.
I mean, he has this sweet, strong armor that's protecting everybody, but at the end of the day, his only goal is to protect the town, and by him giving it to the Mandalorian, that shows that, he really is a good guy.
This was well earned.
It was my pleasure.
I hope our paths cross again.
As do I.
Oh, and you tell your people I wasn't the one that broke that.
And we have to talk about the end reveal. At the end of the episode, we have a mysterious character blows in. We see only a little bit of his image, but it's enough to tell who it is. This mysterious character is Temuera Morrison. I believe I'm saying his name right. Now, who is Temuera Morrison? Temuera Morrison played Jango Fett in the prequel series. Now, for all of you fans at home, and I know John knows this, but I'm going to fill him in a little bit here. Boba Fett is a clone of Jango Fett. So, Boba Fett's going to look like Jango Fett, because they're a clone, obviously. Temuera Morrison, more than likely, is Boba Fett. Especially the way he was looking down at the Mandalorian, looking down at that armor. I would bet to say that was Boba Fett standing there. I mean, for the fact that they cast that actor, it's 100% related to that line. Could it be a clone trooper? It could even be a clone trooper. I don't think so. I don't think they would do that, but I really think that was Boba Fett at the end. That reveal just shocked me. I'm like, oh my god. Are they going to really go through? Are we really going to get Boba Fett back into like the continuity? I don't know. I don't know where it's going. I think we're going to see him again. Whether or not we see him in the next episode, I'm not too sure. I really can't wait, though, to see what happens next. I'm really enticed by this season. In fact, we have Mandalorian going out trying to find other Mandos to try and, get Baby Yoda home. I really like that story. I think the journeys are going to be interesting. The last thing of note I really want to say about this episode before we wrap up, Jon Favreau directed this episode. And Jon Favreau, he's a really good director. For what it's worth, I think he really understands Star Wars. I really think someone other than George Lucas at the helm understands what Star Wars is. Everything he tries to use practical as much as possible. When it makes sense, he uses the CG effects. Everything he does, it feels like Star Wars, whether it's old and antiquated. He makes that stuff even seem new and fresh in this series. He just gets the identity, and he doesn't change it. He's just telling another story in that universe, which that new sequel series didn't do for me. This entirely captures that feeling for me.
They might be open to some fresh ideas.
Well, I also think you can tell too from like just after the first season that he's trying to help. He's trying to make sure that he works with the best directors too that understand the Star Wars story.
Right, and everyone he captures. Yeah, everyone he captures has their own voice and lends that to the episode, I think. I think he's one of the better ones, for sure. Season 1 didn't have any bad episodes, I would say. It had some maybe less interesting ones at times. But this, I think when Jon Favreau's at the helm, though, it really shows how he wants to direct this series and what direction he wants to point it in. Well, with that being said, this is a great episode. You guys got to check this out. John, if the people are interested, where can they find us at home?
You can find us on YouTube. The Real Movie Guys on YouTube. You can, if you like this podcast or this episode, you should let us know in the comments. Like it. Also, tell us what did you think of the first one and would you want to see us do it?
Yeah, if you want us to check out season 1, let us know. Also, let us know what you think of the end of this. Do you think that was Boba Fett standing in the shadows? Where do you think the season is going? I for one, really have no idea. John, I don't know if you do either. I really don't know where this is heading, and I can't wait for the ride.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I can't wait. Very enjoyable. Also, you can find us on Twitter, at TheReelMovieGuy on Twitter. You can also listen to us on many podcasting platforms such as...
Yes, indeed. For your listening pleasure, we are available in podcast form at iTunes, Spotify, Anchor, Google Podcast, Overcast, Breaker, Radio Public, and Pocket Casts. Be sure to give us a listen at any of those fine places. If you already are right now, hey, greatly appreciate it. Just search Real Movie Guys. We should pop right up. Thank you all so much for joining us for this episode of The Real Review. My name's Kevin. That guy over there, he's John. We are The Real Movie Guys. Real guys, real movies, real thoughts. We'll catch you next time when we see you for Chapter 10.